Hey guys, I've got Angie McGilvery of Apex Physical Therapy in Florida with me. She's so gracious to take the time to record a conversation about their promotion and marketing efforts with diagnostics. Although they couldn't be there in person to the conference, she decided, hey, let's at least do something. I reached out, saw if we could record something regarding their success, and she was kind enough to do that. So Angie, thanks for joining us today. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you, Nathan, for taking the time, and my pleasure to talk to everybody and share some knowledge, hopefully to help all the partners out along the way.
Yeah, you guys have been, we highlighted you at the previous Leadership Academy, and had you on the hot seat, asked you a few questions about what you guys are doing to promote and what you're doing in diagnostics. Uh, this time around, we want to focus a little bit more on what some of your successful actions have been in promoting diagnostics via social media and in the community. Now, prior to COVID, you guys were doing some diagnostic work in the community, and hopefully here in 2021, we'll be able to do the same. So you might have to reference back to your experience a year plus ago. But
Sure.
let's start off and talk to us a little about what you guys have found successful with your promotions of diagnostics in general through social media.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks, Nathan. So, just going back in general to the premise of social media, and I'm mostly speaking upon Facebook and Instagram as two primary platforms that we utilize for, from a patient engagement standpoint. I also utilize LinkedIn, but that's more from the business, side of things. So from a patient standpoint, and educating our community and engaging with them, Facebook, Instagram. And really, I like to look at it, and what we've had success with is really looking at it from two different pieces. We hear about like paid advertising and those things that you can either do yourself. They make it pretty easy, or you can call upon, marketing professionals to help you do some pretty cool things like geofence a certain area, or, pick certain crowds of people and demographics and, things like that. Um, that's one side of it. And, I think that there's value to that. But I also very, very strongly believe, and where I believe that we've seen more success is in our organic content.
Hmm.
Um, Basically, that just means being very habitual and very consistent on posting on both of those platforms on a very regular basis, and allowing the community to take a glimpse inside what truly is your practice. And that can highlight, so many things, but in particular, we are talking a little bit more on the HODS standpoint. So, in that's kind of the way that we've separated it. So I focus on 2 to 3 times a day. I like to send something out on Instagram and Facebook. This is a shared post with some typed up comment next to it explaining, what's going on and what's happening in the clinic. Um, and then throughout the day, we like to do as many what's called story features. You guys probably know what I'm talking about, but there's Instagram and Facebook stories, which are basically just short 15 seconds or less clips, just giving our consumers and giving our patients a glimpse inside what's happening in these walls. And so again, the more and more you continue to put out this content, and the more regular you can be about it, the more our public begins to know, trust, and love us, because they're actually seeing inside what's happening, inside and organically. These are not these stories and all and the posts that we do. 9 out of 10 of them are not, pre-made. They're not, something that we sit down and rehearse for hours on end. It is truly organic content. And I really think that showing that vulnerability to our patients and our community, and showing them that rawness of this is what's inside our doors, lends to success.
Do you now you're posting 2 or 3 times a day, and some owners might be like, I don't know how I'm going to do that.
Mm.
But speaking specifically about diagnostics, do you make an effort to make sure at least one out of those two or three is about diagnostics, or do you just kind of let that come naturally?
Yeah, I try to like sporadically. I do have some intention behind. I'll look at previous posts and be like, okay, I haven't posted about this for a while. Let me make sure I get a little video of that. And I do definitely try to pepper in different things.
Mhm.
Um, and some of the best content um, is actually videoing. So this is the way that, sorry if I'm all over the place. This is the way that I do it and create the content, which I
Mhm.
think were helpful. We just video a day in the clinic. Like we just literally have a video camera running a day in the clinic and we're just catching everything that's happening. Now, I do have a professional person who follows me around and does that. And I'll kind of delegate as I'm treating and Joe's treating and my therapists are treating. And I'll say, ooh, go, ooh, go get something with that. Ooh, go get something with that. And that kind of cues him, okay, this is some content that I'm going to create later. And he actually makes the short videos for me.
Okay.
And then it's myself and my staff who we're the ones that'll put it out, that'll actually post it on social media. So the content creation piece is something that I farm out to
Mhm.
somebody else, even though it is organic in the clinic. It's him recording us to do it. So I think that's a big
Gotcha.
piece of it, from saving time um, in creating some of that stuff. But the stories are literally, I'll look over and see something cool happening. I'll grab my phone and be like, hang on a second. And I'll literally like 5 seconds worth and hit post. Like this happens, throughout the day. And I have certain team members too, who I've delegated, who kind of get, that our product that we want to put out there and get it. And so I've also given them the liberty of, okay, when you see, what I'm looking for, just post it. Just put the stories out there. Like I want multiple stories going out a day that show
Mhm.
people what's happening inside here.
Yeah, for some of the owners who might be treating quite a bit more or involved in something else, um, do you recommend them actually finding someone amongst the team that might be more, that might have more time or capable or willing to do some of the social media posts on a regular basis? And it sounds like you've kind of trained other people to know what to look for and what to post. Um, have you found that you've had to do some training as well for those people?
Yes, absolutely. I think it goes back to how engaged these certain staff members are with understanding your specific culture.
Mm.
So, I was the one who took on our social media at the beginning because I really wanted we have a very special avatar, and I really wanted a very, special message and to create a culture behind what we're putting out there. Um, Once I kind of have started that process now, with those roots, it's easier for me to have somebody else kind of follow suit. So I know it might sound like a bigger undertaking, but I would say to an owner that hasn't done much of any of it before, I think it would be of their benefit to have their hands in the beginning part of it, because you are essentially creating your brand and your image out there. And who better to do that, I believe, than at least yourself to start.
Yeah, at least you start with yourself and then work your way towards figuring out what you want to post and what looks good, and maybe even get what gets more engagement before you hand
Yes,
that off, right? But you
yes.
you talked about Avatar. Tell us about Avatar in general for those people who might not know what an avatar is, but also what your particular avatar is, so that people can get a glimpse of what you're focused on.
Sure. So, your avatar patient is that patient or that client that you feel that you can serve the best, and that's the one that you are kind of going after for
Mhm.
better, lack of a better word, since we are talking about marketing and sales here a little bit. So for us at Apex, it began pretty specifically as the CrossFit athlete. That was our avatar. myself being involved in athletics and CrossFit, and Joe as well, we really seem to understand that mentality, that verbiage, that language, the injuries that happen, and how to go through those things. So, we really started to figure out quickly when everybody from our gym kept coming up to us and saying, how do I fix this? And why does my shoulder do this? And we started to figure out really quick that, wow, we could really, really help these folks. And we love helping these folks. Um, so that's kind of where that started. And the cool thing about that is, at first I thought, wow, that's kind of scary to get that specific, to get really that specific and say CrossFit athletes, and to start kind of branding yourself in that direction, because, as owners, we want to, never limit our potential to treating people, right? So, but I trusted the process, and the things that I was told by a mentor that would work began to work. And, you treat a few of these athletes really well, and they start to send their brothers and their sisters and their moms and their dads and their uncles, and who knows, which may or may not be your CrossFit athlete avatar, but because you took care of them so well, they're going to have that wonderful word of mouth.
Mhm.
Advertising. So
yeah, for sure. And do you find that based on your avatar, do you tend to promote more ultrasound versus EMG, or EMG, or do you really care so much? I'm just wondering if you have a ratio of ultrasound to EMG and vice versa.
That's a great question. Typically more ultrasound based. Um, and I actually just did a post today on, we were ultrasounding a runner's heel, Achilles heel pain. And we just literally, Joe was doing it. We just said, all right, video this. This is really what happens. This is really how we do it. So, but what we did do, so this was a cool one. This is just a nice example to share. We had, because of course our avatar, we had a CrossFit athlete who was having some radicular symptoms, and he actually happens to be a physical therapist himself. And he goes to our gym and works out with us. He has a contract with the hospital. That's why I haven't snagged him yet, but one of these days. But anyways, so he always comes to Joe and I, and he's always like, what, blah, blah, blah. And we said, hey, let's do this. Let's do an EMG on you, but let's Facebook Live it so people can see what exactly an EMG looks like on a CrossFit athlete. And the fact that you are a doctor of physical therapy as well, we can talk through this. So that was a really, really cool. And of course, we did it as a comp to him. And we said, hey, we're not going to charge you or anything for it. If you don't mind, we Facebook Live it so we can really show people how we can help them. And he was like, yeah, that's great. So, that was a great, so something like that, thinking outside of the box, that's a great opportunity. We had a ton of engagement and a ton of comments on that as well, and then we interviewed him at the end and said, afterwards, his result was clear. He didn't have any, so everything that he was dealing with was mostly like myofascial sort of work. And so, afterwards, when we showed him, when we walked through the results and got his feedback, live, raw feedback of, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Like, I don't have anything wrong. Like, the peace of mind of knowing that this is not some crazy nerve issue. Like, this is awesome. And like, we're high-fiving. And so that was a really cool experience.
Yeah. I've watched your videos in the past, and you do have some energy. You emote very well. And I think that carries across in videos. And I think that's also something necessary for people to understand, that if you are going to do something live, if you're going to do something that incorporates video, you've got to just ramp up the energy level a little bit more when it comes to video. Is that something that you do on purpose, or is that just kind of natural Angie?
Well, it's me.
Yeah.
It is me. But there is a little bit of purpose behind that, in that I always want to make sure that we're putting out content that is either providing value and or entertaining, because that's really what our patients want to engage with. So if I'm not giving them something of value, then at least I better be doing something really funny, like dancing or being just like, my cameraman likes to make me look silly sometimes. So, it better be making people laugh and or entertaining as well.
Yeah, and when you talk about engagement, have you found that one platform is more engaging than another, or have you found that certain topics get more engagement for you? What are you seeing as far as trends that you could pass on to other owners?
Yeah. So, Facebook is definitely more for like our 45 to like 65-year-old patient clientele. So, if, that's kind of where your avatar is, then that messaging, through Facebook is going to be much, better received. The 30-year-old-ish, folks are on Instagram. So even though I post on both platforms, my content is more driven towards the Instagram audience.
Oh, really?
So just because I know that's a little bit more in my avatar.
Mhm.
And up and coming, well, it's not even up and coming anymore. I'm kind of missing the bus on it, but TikTok is, we think it's like kids dancing, but it's really like our high school athletes, our young college athletes. Like this is one of the platforms. This is one place that I look to grow, and start providing and putting content on that. But yeah, you just kind of have to know that audience. I haven't gotten to the point yet, which I would like to, at some point in time, but I haven't gotten to the point yet of posting separately on all of those platforms. So, for instance, taking material of, let's say, my 65-year-old golfer and posting that on Facebook, my 30-year-old CrossFitter posting that on Instagram, and then my, high school runner posting that on TikTok, and that all being like a completely different piece of content. Like, so that's one of my goals to kind of start moving into. But, Facebook and Instagram make it pretty easy. You can post to both platforms at the same time. And that's what I do. And, it's effective. I just pepper all of it in there. But much more, going back to your original question there, Nathan, definitely much more we try to post out there about the ultrasound. And I think that also ties into community. Can I go there for a second?
Well, let me ask really quick, for those
Yeah.
people who don't even have a Facebook page yet for their clinics, where do they
Yes.
need to start?
That's a good question because Joe did mine.
I got you.
Yeah, I think it's really super easy. I really just think you really just go onto facebook.com and create
A Facebook group.
our own. Yeah, we created our own Facebook page, created our own Instagram page. Like,
Okay.
you can do it yourself. I promise.
And then to get, I'm assuming with your new patient paperwork, you have sign-offs on you're going to be
Yes.
videotaped, and
Yes.
and you got to get consent right ahead of
Yes.
time.
That is part of our standard operating paperwork is image and video consent. And I will still, especially if it's kids, I will still like double check, like with my middle school and high school athletes with the parents, like, hey, it's okay, mom, right? It's okay, dad. Oh yeah, it's okay. Like, I still like have that like verbal courtesy with them.
Mhm.
And once like the patients see like it happening and doing it, like I make a big deal out of it to them. Like, I make them feel so super special that we're utilizing their story and their success to help motivate others. Like, you're gonna be Instagram famous. Like, I'm gonna put you on the gram. Oh, you're gonna be on Facebook. All your friends are gonna be calling you. Like we make a big deal out of it to make them feel really special about it too. So I don't really have anybody that's like, very rare that I have anybody that's like, oh yeah, I don't want to do that. And of course we respect that.
And what have you found successful in driving your patients to the Facebook groups to become members, join up, see your post? What have been some of your successful actions about driving people to sign up?
Yeah, twofold. So we have to kind of think of Facebook and Instagram as like our modern day like cocktail parties and or brunches and or breakfast with the girls or whatever it is. This is a place of of engagement the same way that you would think of actually going in person and engaging with people. So we do that two different ways. The first way is that between Joe and I, we both try to go, and and my athletic director, the three of us all try to go on to those platforms daily and comment on other people's posts that are within our kind of avatar realm. So like, some of the runners and the running coaches. And so we follow try to follow all of our patients, and then we comment on their stuff. Great job, awesome work. Oh my God, like, whatever it is that they're posting. A lot of my CrossFitters, they love to talk about CrossFit. Somebody does CrossFit because that's all they talk about. So they'll post their lifts and their work. And so it's very important then that, we'll catch that and be like, oh my gosh, that was awesome. Oh, that's so cool. Your shoulder's feeling better or whatever. And we engage with them to show that we care and that we're watching what they do. And then on the flip side of it, whenever we get content with one of our athletes or one of our people in there, I always make sure to tag them on the post. So, and I'll always say inspiration by whatever their Facebook or Instagram handle is. So they typically will share that then because I'm like really promoting them, like they're doing so awesome. So they get excited and they share it on their own media then, which of course exponentially gives you the visual. And then it also, gives them kind of that like, warm fuzzy feeling like, oh my gosh, Apex is putting me on their page. So it's a little bit of both. And I will always make sure that like, if I don't have somebody's like, oh my gosh, what's your Instagram or what's your Facebook? And like my staff knows to like, got to get people's Instagrams and Facebooks, if they see us doing a video or something on them and, and I'll tag these kids, and they love it. Like that's where they live, and even the older people, I mean, even our like 45 to 6, they live on Facebook. Like you'd be surprised. So.
And when you post, and this is me not knowing Facebook very well, do you post as Angie McGilvery or are you posting as Apex Physical Therapy? Can you do that?
Yeah. So
when you're responding and making comments and stuff like that.
Yeah. Ironically, it's always as Apex. Yeah, it's always as Apex. Ironically enough, and this is as a motivation for any of you guys that haven't done a lot with social media before. I don't have my own personal Facebook and or Instagram, nor have I ever. So this is coming from somebody who's never even used these platforms from like a personal basis until, somebody was like, if you're not on these platforms, then you basically don't exist. And I was like, okay, that's all I had to hear. So then it was just like, diving in 110% to make sure that Apex existed on there. So don't feel like if you're not a pro at it personally, you can't do it. I don't do it personally at all.
And you guys, when you started that, you weren't posting 2 or 3 times a week initially. From what I remember, you were just struggling to put out something once a week.
Yes.
And then it kind of just snowballed from there. And we're talking years ago, right? When you initially started your social media work.
Yes. Yes, that's a great point, Nathan, to bring up, because I think that it can be very overwhelming in the beginning of like, I got to do this and I got to post like all these times. And the reason why so many people don't do it usually is, number one, they're like, they don't feel like, oh, my stuff isn't like, maybe isn't good enough, or like, I don't really, I don't know, like, this isn't like the perfect video or the perfect whatever. Like, you think you have to put something out there that's like so perfect, like it's this, up on this pedestal, and really you don't. Like, you just have to do it. Like that's the biggest advice I can give, is just do it. Like, just post once a day and do it. And then you'll learn. It's like everything else. Like, you want to get good at push-ups, you got to do push-ups. So just do it.
Yeah, and you got to take the time and make it an intentional effort. And it sounds like maybe initially you just had the goal to put out something once a week, but now your goals are much greater to get onto other platforms and like you said, start breaking things down into those specific avatars that are in those platforms, right? And so it sounds like you actually do have some social media goals.
I do. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, I do.
Cool. Awesome. Well, then tell us about then your community outreach and what you were doing pre-COVID to promote diagnostics in your clinics as well.
Yeah. So one of the biggest things that one of the biggest successes that we've had in the community with the diagnostics is utilizing our musculoskeletal ultrasound um, in our community, taking it out of the clinic and taking it into the community at various PR events. Um, uh, so everybody in the country, we're all in a little bit of a different place right now with even the post COVID, right? Everybody knows Florida's a little bit more open than other places. Just to give an example, this last weekend we had a CrossFit competition here locally. And so that was just Saturday. We had a CrossFit competition. And so I take my team goes to the competitions and we do athlete recovery services. So we volunteer, well, I volunteer their time. I still pay them, but I volunteer, Apex's time to go there and spend the day as the competition goes. And any of the athletes that have sore muscles or they have this or they have that, they come over, we do some massage and stretching and make sure they're good to go and get back out on the floor. This is a great way to obviously brand us in that community, right? But the coolest thing about it is that Joe will typically also go and bring the ultrasound with. So I think we had two different athletes, one who pulled their calf. They heard a pop in their calf muscle, came limping over to the table. We were able to right away, Joe, let me take a look. Let me see what's going on with this, with your calf. He found, she didn't completely rupture, thank goodness, but he was able to see right away some of that swelling come up and some of that, where the fibers had, pulled away. And so, right away able to be like, okay, this is what you have going on. This is what's happening. Obviously I don't recommend you continue competing today. You have sustained an injury. And this is what we're going to do about it. And this is how, we can take care of it and blah, blah, blah. So, now, not only did we save her from probably rupturing her entire Achilles if she would have kept competing, but we also gave her a really clear peace of mind of what was going on right away. And now she's a patient. She's already on our schedule this week as an eval in the clinic, so we can take care of her injury. So
Oh, cool.
that's just like a small piece of it, and we do that. That's really Joe's basis behind a lot of the PR events. Is utilizing we take that out to events like that, or he will actually purposely intentionally schedule PR events that are driven around the ultrasound. So here we have like gated communities, and very down here in Florida, these our little gated communities with their own little fitness centers and their own like little pods of people, and so we have developed nice rapport with their athletic directors and activity directors, and we treat a lot of the people within our communities that are close to our clinics. So we reached out to them during COVID, and we're like, hey, if you have members who are suffering from musculoskeletal pain, injury, aches, I know they're not getting into their doctors right now. Doctors' offices are very much saying, unless you've got something major, like we don't want to see you right now, right? So, a lot of these folks are at home with shoulder pain, back pain, knee pain. They're not out on the golf course. They're not getting out, and they're sitting at home like they don't know what to do. So, we put something out that was like, hey, let us take care of you. Let us take the burden off of the docs. Let us take care of you. We have ultrasound technology, which, we can see inside, see what's going on. Come in. We're going to do a screen with it, and we'll let you know if we can help you. And Joe is just a master at this. He will reach out, and then he'll say, okay, I've got 12 spots. I want you to email me back with your spot times or whatever. And he will literally, every single time he does this, he has every single spot full, and 80% of them he converts to evals in the clinic. He's unbelievable.
Wow.
I should really have him do like maybe a little mini presentation after this to the logistics of like how he does it.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's awesome because we're able to provide them with care that they don't know where to go. They don't
Mm.
realize they can come to us as a direct access piece. And by providing the ultrasound, like that is like the golden ticket to kind of for the buy-in, for a lack of a better word.
Yeah, and it's cool that you have some of those retirement communities that you can go to, and you have a focused clientele that more than likely has some aches and pains and injuries and whatnot. Have you ever done that and simply held that kind of event, if you will, at your clinic, like, and try to get people into the clinic, or is that harder to do? Have you
That
tried that?
has been much harder. That has been
Really?
much harder to do. Yeah.
Mm,
Um, so we'll actually have them, like we will have these guys come, like the people from the retirement communities, or even from like one of our, like a big local gym, like a more of like a Globo gym type atmosphere. We'll have them email blast out to their members at the gym, or they email blast out to the members at the retirement communities. Hey, Apex is doing, and Joe provides them with what the email blast looks like. Joe's doing this, and but we host it actually in the clinic.
mm.
So we have to make appointment times where they actually come into the clinic, and we make them understand that it's a medical place, it's a safe place, like it's
Yeah.
it's we take precautions here, like it's all good. So
Yeah, but you're finding that those aren't as well attended. Whereas it sounds like if you're going to a retirement community, their fitness center, or even to a local community gym, the attendance seems to be better.
I'm sorry, no, the attendance is the same both ways,
Oh,
but
okay.
yeah, no, it's the same both ways, but the key is there, like we do that reach out, and then we say sign up for your appointment time. And
Mm,
to just like, hey, come on in on Saturday from 8 to noon, and we're gonna do like a free seminar on this, or we're gonna do when we get them to like commit to those, like we only got 10 spots, and we get them to commit to that I think has been part of the magic in making that happen.
yeah, and I can totally see where when you can bring the diagnostic ultrasound with you and take the picture and say this is what's going on,
Yes.
and be so certain, that's so much easier for them to say, oh, I obviously need to correct that. So, and
Yes.
I don't want it to look like that on the picture anymore. So I need to come
Yes.
in and see you. That's what it sounds like.
Yes.
Ah,
And vice versa. Just this past weekend, at the event we were at, gentleman came up with a shoulder, like, oh, my shoulder, like something, blah blah blah. And so Joe's like, yeah, let me take a look. And MSK'd his shoulder, didn't see anything, like anything of significance, and was like, structurally your shoulder looks good. Like you're fatigued, you're probably a little tweaked, whatever, but structurally, like, and he showed him, he's like, look, this is one of your tendons. See, this is nice. This is one of your tendons. See, this is not, and showed him on the picture. And he was like, okay, so I can compete. Like I'm okay. And Joe's like, and as far as I see, like there's nothing. And this guy was like so elated. He was like, okay, there's nothing like really. So, it goes the other way too. Guy had a great competition, by the way. Like he did awesome. Thanked us, at the end. But you better believe that if he ever needs anything, who does he know, love, and trust now? So a lot of times these events, it's not like we get 20 evals in the door. Sometimes when we go to these the CrossFit competitions, like when we do the athlete recovery services at the CrossFit competitions, but a lot of times, like a month or two later, it's, oh, by the way, like I saw you guys at that competition. Can I come in and schedule, because now my back hurts? So it's really just like sowing the seeds, on a level when you're looking kind of at that outreach. So, we do it two different ways. We do it that way, and then at the actual, okay, make an appointment and come in and do the, so, there's a couple of different
I
options.
got you. And I
Yeah.
figure that's the same intent behind the social media posts, right? Is that you're not going to see an immediate result the next day in new patients, but
Yes.
I'm assuming now that you've done it so often, you're getting friends and family members who have seen their friends have successful videos on
Yes.
social media and then be like, oh, yeah, I saw what you did with so and so. I figured, my shoulder hurts too. I'd come in. Are you getting some of those
Yes.
stories as well?
Yes. And that's a really good point, Nathan, because the biggest question I usually get and I hear is, well, what's the ROI on it? And that's a hard one because you really, there are some metrics that you can run and some insights, that you can see. And of course, you're always asking, your patients, how did you hear about us? How did you get here? And, every now and then they might say, oh, I saw you on Facebook or whatever. But chances are, you're not seeing, there's not that direct correlation like, oh, lunch to a doctor's office. Oh, now the doctor sent us 5 patients. Like, we don't see that direct correlation with social media because it is such a game of sowing seeds and building those relationships. But you're exactly right. I had a soccer player and her mom in here the other night, and she was ACL post-op, and she's a little further along in her care. And I was like, where have you been going prior to this? And she was going to the hospital because that's the only place that her insurance benefits were through. But she was like, but now mom and daughter are self-paying to come to see us because they see what we're doing on social media, and that we predominantly treat athletes, and this is what we do. And the mom said, she's like, well, Emma sees all of her friends on social media here and sees all of her friends coming to Apex and said she wanted to go to Apex, so that's why we're here. Like, literally, that's this
What?
to me. And so you better believe that day I was like, we were doing stuff or whatever, and Emma's she was cleared to like she was cleared to do all of her things. And I was like, all right, you haven't kicked a soccer ball yet. You're kicking a soccer ball today. She's like, what, really? She was so excited. So I put her out in the atrium, had her start kicking the soccer ball. Of course, got a little story. What is your handle? Posted it on there. Okay, now you're on our Instagram too. Just like, so making her feel just as special. She's like, man, I'm seeing my friends on there too. So
Mhm.
brought it full circle.
As you're talking about that, I don't know if you've followed Building a Story Brand, that book, but the idea behind the book and the marketing that he promotes is to make our clients the heroes and
Yes,
and
I
us as
love
the
that.
guides, right? And I think what you're doing successfully in social media is you are the Obi-Wan to the Luke Skywalker, right? Like your client, and that's what
Love
they
this.
want. They want to be the heroes of their own
Mhm,
story. And when you
mhm.
can promote their stories, not your story, their stories on Instagram and Facebook, that's when you get engagement. That's when they get excited. And that's less of, hey, I know this anatomy and I know what I can do for you, and I've got all the tools and I've got a lot of letters behind my name. It's less of that and more of, these people came to our place. Look how awesome they are now. And we
Yes.
we were able to
Without
guide them.
saying, look how awesome, like without saying it like that. Exactly. Like,
Yeah.
awesome they are now. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's all about them. And I think that's where maybe that's not where you started initially. I don't know. But it seems like
No.
with the stories that you're sharing with me, it's more about them and how can we promote them and what they've done. Um, and with us being the guide, but they're the heroes and we create heroes like that, you know?
Yeah, I thank you for sharing that, Nathan. I just wrote that down. The clients as the heroes. I appreciate you bringing that insight into it because I think that is super, super, super important. And I'm going to share that. I'm going to share that little nugget with my team as well.
Yeah, definitely. If you ever get around to it, the book's called Building a Story Brand.
I
It's
love
back
it.
there somewhere. I don't remember the name of the book, but it's relatively popular. I just read it in the last year, but he goes through that process of creating our patients as the heroes and us more so as the guides, and then our messages accordingly, us as the
Yes.
guides and them as the heroes. Then it sounds like that's where you guys have been really successful.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you commenting on that.
Well, anything that comes to mind if someone's just starting up on some of this social media stuff, promotion, whatnot, any things to be mindful of that we haven't covered, or little tips or tricks that you've noticed over the years?
So one thing is that you will undoubtedly have those people who may make negative comments on something that you post, or may, there are, they call trolls out there who like to just kind of like, negatively just pick at somebody who looks to be doing well and doing successful. And I mean, I just think the biggest piece of advice is that know that those people, unfortunately, are in, a lesser place. And unfortunately, that's, you feel bad for them that that's where they're spending their energy, but don't get your energy caught up into that, because when you put yourself out on social media that vulnerably, you will have, some of those comments. And but also don't ignore them. So I always respond if there's anything that's, that I can tell is like a snarky or, one of those little Barbie type comments. I just always kill it back with kindness and am very respectful and, comment very kindly back and then just leave it at that, and then just do not, and then don't engage in any negativity. So I don't know, that's just one tip that I've found, because I know I've heard people say before, like, oh, that's one reason why they don't want to post on social media, because somebody has made, some comment about, like, we were using, I don't know, something, and they were like, oh, look at where they've got the pad placement of blah blah blah, like, what are you even doing, or why do you even have that patient doing that exercise, like, blah blah, and it just, you're just like, oh, well, thanks for the feedback. I never thought of it that way. Yeah, maybe we'll incorporate blah blah blah. Like, I just leave it.
Good advice, because there are trolls out there that are going to post something eventually, especially as often as you guys post. There's going to be someone out there that says something. So yeah,
Yeah,
better not to engage.
and just let it go. But just do it. Like, just put stuff out there. It's never gonna be like the best stuff. Like, and it's always should be evolving, and it always should be growing, and improving upon, just like any other skill that we practice as owners. Like, we're always getting better at.
Yep.
So just do it.
Definitely. Are you open to sharing some of your contact information with the HODS partners if they
Oh,
want to
of
reach out?
course.
Yeah, if they
Yes,
want
of
to reach out to you
course.
individually, how do they get in touch with you?
Yeah. So my email is Angie, Angie at apexptflorida.com.
Mhm.
Or I challenge you to message us through Facebook or Instagram, because then that means you have to use the platform.
There you go. There you go. That's the way to do it. Cool. Awesome. All right. Well, hey, ton of great information. Thank you so much for taking the time to come on and share with the HODS partners.
Oh, absolutely. My pleasure. And I hope it was of value. And please, if there's anything I can do to help further, I'm more than willing. So thank you so much, Nathan.
Thanks, Angie.
Have a good one. Enjoy, everybody.
I think we're ready to go. I told you just before Angie's interview that I use some physical newsletters for my diagnostics business. This is just an example of what I would use. I would create monthly content. I'm sorry you can't read this, but I can post it in the leadership folder. But this is what I would send monthly to the providers in my area. Something, and it's really simple. I did not try to get complicated with this at all, because I was still thinking that some people don't know what an EMG can do. Some medical providers actually don't know what an EMG can do for them in terms of how it can help them treat their patients better. So, at the top, you might not be able to see, but it says you have patients with the following symptoms: numbness, tingling, back pain, hand pain, foot pain, burning sensations, muscle weakness. We're here for you. A little bit about Rise Diagnostics. We do EMGs and ultrasounds. Nerve, and then I'd say whether it's nerve entrapment, radiculopathy, diabetic neuropathy, we can help you manage your patients with more confidence. So I would create the content, and then honestly, my wife would then send this on to Fiverr.com. If you've ever used Fiverr or Upwork, those are online designers who we pay 35 bucks, 40 bucks to do all of this. I gave them the Word document and the logos I wanted to use. They come up with the picture, they arrange all this stuff, and they give us 2 or 3 edits, and send it back and I mail that out to 150 providers. Fiverr, FIVERR.com, 2 R's. This is another one. Providers have asked, when would you refer a patient for EMG NCS testing? Oh, sorry. Maybe that was better.
I think so. There you go.
There you
Oh,
go.
you're moving your phone.
Again,
Cool.
numbness, hand pain, foot pain, neck pain. See our complimentary screening tool that Jamie would offer. That would be like a second page in the envelope. Fax your prescription, your patient demographics. If you have any questions, that's where we're located. So, like I said, I made it really simple, and a lot of this stuff was simply recycled, reused kind of thing, month after month. I
You just mail it or you drop it off?
just mail it off or drop it off. Sometimes they were on the way home. I just drop them, save the postage. But but I did this on a monthly basis. And like I said, my numbers were tied to. I'm sorry, I'm doing this. I'm going to stop sharing my screen.
And you'll share that with us?
Nathan,
I'll put it in
the
the
same
folder.
newsletter or just a flyer? You put something else to it?
I rarely put anything else to it. I just send that.
Just like a flyer?
No, yeah, just flyer.
Okay.
Yeah, it's nice. All that good stuff. And then yearly, I would do, I'd break down like how many patients I saw of each my top diagnoses of the year. You know, so I spice it up with something different, if you will. Sometimes I would focus on sciatica and what I can do to, so I pick a diagnosis, kind of focus my topic on that. But it was really simple, you know, on the first of the month on my calendar, instead, I calendar my to-do list. So my monthly to-do list on the first of each month was to create content for the newsletter. And then I send that off on the 2nd to the Fiverr and get it back by the 7th so I can mail it out. And that was my routine on a monthly basis. So I wanted to share that just because a lot of the stuff some of the stuff that we're talking about today is more social digital. Still newsletters worked for me sometimes. And got the message across. And you know, at least got me a foot in the door, and like I said, my numbers correlated with my promotion.
Fiverr is a freelance website. You tell them what you want, you bid it out by 5 or 10 people. You say, give me an example of what you can do. They say this, you go, I like that guy, $50, whatever. That's kind of what Fiverr is in a real nutshell. And they're great, like you said. I wanted to just one quick thing about FranchiseSoft and promotional pieces, advertising. There's that digital library thing that you saw where the hot content is for you. You can make a folder. Graham can make a folder of Graham's promotional items that he then shares with all of you, and vice versa.
Any other questions? Start sharing. So, yes, the pinnacle of the day. Turn it over
You want
to-
this?
Is it working? Can you hear me now?
Yep.
All right, are you gonna put my little? So I'm gonna talk about Facebook leads in a program that I just started. So this is somewhat new to me, but I'm very, very excited about it because of the instant results that I've had. So I think that everybody can appreciate instant results. So I'll give you a little bit of background about myself. I started my first practice back in 1996. So that seems like a lifetime ago. And so 96, we opened our first practice. And then in 2000, we opened our second practice at the request of an orthopedic group who was they had their own PT practice within their facility of 12 doctors, but they could not keep up with the patient load. They were so overwhelmed and they had people driving a significant distance. So they asked us, hey, would you ever consider opening up in this area, which was about an hour away from our hometown. So, but we did that and that went very well. And then we actually very quickly outgrew that space, had to renovate and move to a different space. And at the same time, we did a modification and moved out of our original space. So we had lots of things going on. Well, then our military base, Fort Drum, did a huge expansion back in, they did their expansion in 2011, and again, had difficulty with servicing their population. So we were then again, kind of wooed by the military, I guess you'd say, and to open a facility right outside the main gate because independent contractors are not allowed to operate on post. So anyways, we're right outside the main gate. And so that was 2014. And so this year, yeah, that's what you want to.
Okay, you just click.
Oh, sure, yeah, I can do it that way. So anyway, so there's kind of how the time frame goes. So this year we are celebrating our 25th year in business. So we're very excited about that. Who would have thought when it started? So I just, a quick show of hands here, like who's been in business less than 5 years? Anybody? How about 5 to 10 years? Nice, nice. And then how about 10 to 15 years? And then how about 20 plus years? Yeah, that's that's a lot of us, right? So, which I think it's great. You know, it's a testament that small businesses can survive. So I think that's great. So okay, so secrets to success, just kind of little tidbits that I've picked up along the way is never stop learning. Like, I mean, look at how many years we were in business before we even looked at or heard of PTs doing diagnostics. You know, and the willingness to go through that training. And I'll tell you, well, I think it's a funny story of how we received our training. So this was our diagnostic training. Demi hopped on a little puddle jumper plane from New York to up to the Thousand Islands, which I think it was delayed or whatever. So we lost a half a day. He shows up, and in one weekend we did upper extremity nerve conduction EMG, lower extremity nerve conduction EMG, upper extremity musculoskeletal ultrasound, lower extremity musculoskeletal ultrasound. And Demi got back on the plane Sunday and he said, okay, start testing. And we did. We didn't know any better, so we did. And now I think back like, oh my God, those poor patients. Like, you were just jamming with us. But you know what? I will say my daughter was a huge trooper because I would come home every night and practice on her. And I remember her sitting there just flipping through magazines as I'm sticking her with needles, and I'm thinking, what mother does this to their child? You know? And growing up, my mother was a hairdresser, so I always had all kinds of crazy perms and colors and stuff like that. I thought, but this just takes it to a whole new level, right? You know? But anyways, my daughter's now a PT, so it couldn't have been that bad that she went on to do that. So anyways, never stop learning. And then the other thing is ask for help when you need it. You can't be an expert in everything, so find an expert to ask, right? And I said earlier, we were talking about like one of the biggest tips that we ever got. And for me, it was when someone said, you know what, don't be embarrassed by what you don't know. Because when I first started in business, I was scared to death. I thought, oh my gosh, I have to like pretend that I know everything so these doctors will trust me with their patients and these people will trust me to take care of them. So what do they say? Fake it till you make it, right? So that's what I did. And you know what? And then I kind of thought, well, I really do know what I'm doing. You know, I'm doing all right here. But you know what? Did I know about billing? No. Did I know about nerve conduction EMGs? No. You know, so just always ask. And certainly we are so fortunate because we are now in an environment where we all are here to help each other. You know, and I was telling about the very first mastermind group I ever was involved in. I was so shocked. Like, I mean, here I am up in Northern New York. I can't call my competitors and ask them, hey, what are you using for an EMR? And, you know, and they're not going to help me. Like, we were all so guarded, you know, like no, we can't help you. So then it just became like, I went to a mastermind thing and they were like, oh no, use this for mailing. It's so much cheaper. It's less than the cost of a first class stamp. And I was like, telling me that? Wow, you know, like, and I was like, wow, that's impressive. And just because we're all here to bolster each other, you know, so I mean, and that's why I wrote down the contact information. Like, I'll share that with everybody because, you know, if there's something that somebody said or you didn't think of the question till later, just reach out to them because everybody's willing to help. So, and then the other thing is take calculated risks. Don't be afraid. Don't stay in that safe little bubble, you know, like, is it comfortable to go talk to that doctor who, like, you know, you see as this really smart, intimidating person? No, but just don't call yourself an electrician. You'll do okay.
Nice.
Yeah. Who was that guy? right? So that's funny. Actually, my husband is an electrician and a PT, so he could get away with that, right? So, okay. So the next thing is, so failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of success. And I mean, you always hear that saying, you need to fail your way to success, because I'm numerically, quantitatively, we all have many, many more failures than we do successes. However, qualitatively, the successes far outweigh the failures. So that's what we're going for. You just got to keep going, like you're not going to know if it's going to work until you try it. So that's the name of the game. Just keep going. So your current audience. So we all have our standard list of past patients, referring physicians. Sometimes in the past, I've even bought mailing lists from places, and because you want to get those new publics, right? So you want to continue any successful marketing actions that you currently have in place. Like we're big on postcards, big on postcards. We use Wilson Printing. They do a great job. It's a great rate. So I tell you to search that out. So, and if you search it out and you say, oh, well, that's not as good as the rate I'm getting, then let me know like where you're getting yours, So when you ask your patients where they've gone to help with their issue, what do they commonly say to you? Like a lot of people will tell you, oh, I went to my doctor. I had back pain, so I went to my doctor, but it took me 3 weeks to get in. And now oh, it started 2-3 months ago. And now here I am here, right? Or they'll go to a chiropractor because quick and easy, they can get in right away, right? Or they'll go to a massage therapist because who doesn't like a good massage, right? But geez, it didn't take care of my problem, right? Felt good at the time, but it didn't fix it. So a lot of times those will be what they try. And why do they do that? Because they don't understand the benefits that we can provide to them. Like our profession in general has not done a good job educating in general the population, So Facebook, here's where Facebook comes in. So Facebook is the undisputed leader. Again, Angie talked about that avatar audience. Like this is my avatar audience, So here's Facebook, 1.62 billion daily visitors. That's a very captive audience, right? Facebook users, they spend an average of 58 minutes a day on the site. And this is higher now than ever because of COVID and people working from home and stuck at home. Yeah, you're supposed to be working, but guess what? They got that Facebook tab going all the time. I want to check and see what's going on there. So primarily it's used by people between the ages of 25 and 64. So here I just put some stats. So 84% of 25 to 30-year-olds are on Facebook. 79% of 30 to 49-year-olds use Facebook. 68% of 50 to 64-year-olds use Facebook. So it's definitely like more an older demographic. And interestingly, women visit more frequently than men. Because I think it's more women. We're posting pictures of our kids and our dogs, and like all that kind of good fuzzy stuff. And it's women, we've done tons of surveying. Our demographic that we appeal to are women over 45 and who have a certain income range, because they are the healthcare decision makers for their kids, for their husbands, and for their parents. So we're marketing to them so that they can then work their magic to get people to us. These users represent a wide span of socioeconomic classes, so you diversify your payer mix automatically, and that's the key to a stable business, right? Diversification there. So this is your ideal audience right here. So we want to encourage that. So pandemic positives, if there is anything, well, except other than Jennifer, who had a stellar year anyways, but, but for the rest of us. So COVID-19 has provided you with a captive computer audience, more people working from home. So more people are using social media all day long. So who in their business does not have a Facebook page? Is there anybody who has not created one yet? So I think that's kind of a norm now, right? So, all right. So Facebook ads, I say opportunity is knocking, because I never considered this previously, but this gives you the platform to educate the community, your community, about how PT can help them with their problems. And naturally, that's our big thing, is the push for natural healing. And it saves them time and money. We want them to avoid injections, avoid surgeries. And then you can highlight the specialty programs. They don't know what ultrasound is or nerve conduction EMG, and they don't know that you provide it. until you put something out there for them as a reference, right? And then it outlines how direct access works in your state. This is huge for direct access, huge. And the whole goal is to minimize your dependence on physician referrals. We're striving as a profession to be autonomous providers of medical care. So this just helps to facilitate that. So, but again, depending on your state and your direct access laws, does anybody here not have direct access? So no, good, everybody's golden, good.
We're restricted though, 2 weeks or 3 weeks.
Okay, all right. But you can work within those constraints and then make it work, you know? Like, I mean, and we still, like, I mean, same thing, like when we get a patient, we still do, like, who is your primary? They may not have referred them, but guess what? We're gonna still send them their reports because, you know, you wanna stay in communication with the doctors too. So, okay, so here on Facebook, it's all about the attraction. So what Facebook ads do is it starts the conversation with people. And it starts to introduce the benefits of PT, and then you have to figure out, do you know what button to push? Now for us, again, this is where surveying comes in. For years and years and years, our thought was, well, of course, people come to PT because they're in pain. Pain is the button. Like, so all of our promo, pain, get out of pain, 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 pain. And when we went out and surveyed, like, and I'm telling, like, we surveyed 1,000 people, new publics, not in our clinics. We did patients separately, but we went to Walmart, we went to Lowe's, we went to Price Chopper, you know, we just talked to people, and we had open-ended questions that we asked. And one of the questions it says, you know, what, you know, beyond like what is the most common health issue that you have, who do you seek care, you know, who do you go to see for that, and what is your goal of going to get care? It wasn't to get out of pain, it was return to function, get back to doing what I could do before, you know. And so we were like, oh, okay, so now that's the button that we push, is return to function, you know. So typically our postcards will always show like a grandmother picking up her grandkids. I can't tell you how many times I hear that. You know, I can't pick up my grandkids, you know, and that bothers them. So it gives them the ability to check you out without having to make a commitment. Like it takes like on average, what they say, 5 touches before someone's gonna like respond to you, right? So that's why we keep sending these things out all the time. So you wanna just keep having those touches. So you wanna make sure your website's up to date with all of your useful and accurate information, because after they are intrigued, that's where they're going next. They wanna go check you out and see who are these people that are putting this stuff out there, right? So you also wanna prepare your front desk receptionist to field phone calls about your offers, because people might pick up and say, well, what is this? What does this mean? Is it really free? Like, that's how I hear that all the time. Is this really free? Is it gonna cost me anything? People are suspicious, right? So the whole idea is you're trying to nurture them along, keep that conversation going, so then you can convert them, you know, like to give them all the reassurance, like this is a good place, it's a safe place, we'll take care of you, you know, we're friendly people, you know. So, and the idea is, you know, like, okay, I think I can commit now, right? So I'm trying to talk fast because I know that everybody's eager to get out here, but please ask questions if you have any. So, all right, so design 101. So the ads always focus on them, right? Never on you. It's all about them. So you got it, like, there's like a copywriting formula that we've seen advertised in a lot of different places. So like, here's what I've got for you, here's what it will do for you, and here's how you can get it. So those are kind of the things as you're creating an ad. You want to use an eye-catching, relevant image, you know, and again, here's where for us, surveying was huge. Like our surveys were like crazy. So our logo, like the whole color of this kind of, we live in the Thousand Islands region, so we're very much into the blues and the teals. So that's our logo. That's what people respond to. So all of our advertising is very consistent with that. People like dogs more than cats, more than any other animal. Dogs. All of our ads will have a dog in them. You know, people like traditional design over modern. Like, I mean, we just went into architectural stuff, you know, pets, all that kind of stuff. And it's all about consistency. So there's where you're using your eye-catching relevant image that is branding back towards you. So then there also has to be a benefit headline. What's in it for them, right? Here's what it'll do for you. So there has to be a call to action button. So that's what, you know, like hit that link and you can get a free screening. You know? So, and then you're wondering, how do I track the effectiveness of all of this? I'm doing all this, but how do I even know if it's working, right? Okay, So here, back to secret number 2, ask for help when you need it. So who here is 100% certain that they can create and test a Facebook ad campaign, and track the effectiveness? Who does that? 100% certain. You know, I put that ad up there and I got 12 patients. That's where I was. You know, I couldn't do it. So, okay, so who can create a Facebook ad that's separate from a boosted post? Okay, good, good. And then, so when we're designing ads, we have to keep in mind that we're not looking for likes. It's wonderful to be liked. I have a huge Facebook following on my account for a little rural area. I have thousands of people, but I don't want likes. I want leads. I want butts and seats. I want people coming into the clinic and really getting to know us, right? Okay, so who has a designated ads manager in their office? Is that you, the designated ad manager? Okay, all right. And okay, nice, very nice. Well, that's probably not the norm for all of us, right? So, and then talk about like advanced targeting, specific ad objectives, appealing Facebook rejections, because Facebook will review all of your paid ads and then they may reject them. There's certain words you can't use on Facebook, you know, and I didn't know that, but I learned. But anyways, so who feels they need help in this area? That was me. So, all right, so here is the help. So you need a CRM versus an EMR. So your PT clinic uses your EMR, tracks your billing, revenue, patient compliance, all that. But do you track the effectiveness of your marketing campaigns? Like up to this point, I had never, you kind of put it out there and you have that little box in the new patient thing. How did you hear about us, right? You have all these boxes to check, and you hope it's accurate, but when people start checking radio, and I haven't been on the radio in 10 years, I think, what's happening here? But anyways, you want to use a CRM system, a customer relationship management system. So what this does is it helps you organize these direct access opportunities, people coming in through Facebook, into a pipeline format, so then you can track them as they convert into new plans of care, or if they're not eligible, why, and I'll take you through that process. So the CRM allows you to see exactly how many leads came in, and then from each single campaign that you ran, like every ad, this is how many it generated, you know, so that you can obviously reproduce your more successful ones and get rid of the ones that are not as successful. So the resource for this. So, and I mean, there are lots of resources out there, but this just so happens to be the one that I use. I know Christina's using them, and I think Lisa's using them as well now. So anyway, so this is medical patient referrals. So I just put, this is just directly off their website. So it basically talks about the strategies that they use. So you can feel free to peruse their site, absolutely. So this kind of I just wanted to give you some ideas. It might be hard to see, but this is what happens. So this is on Facebook, our Facebook page, and then I'll start to get notifications. Like, so this is like the top of the ad on the left, and then there's usually a video that goes with it. That's me doing an ultrasound on someone's shoulder. And then, so I get all these notifications from people then who are looking at this or making comments on it or feeding through that way. So, and then, so again, this talks about ad testing. So I can see, it was hard to get it all on one page where you can see it. So these are all individual ads that go out. And then based on those on my CRM, I can see the responses, how many leads they generated, how many views, that kind of thing like that. So because, you know, you put it all out there. Are people interested in shoulders? Are they into balance? Are they into knees? You know, and you want to just give them a variety of things. I don't design all this. This is NPR designs all this. So that's nice for me. Okay, so we put the processes in place. So, you know, we all want instant results. So you don't want to make your new patient wait, right? So it's very, very interesting to me because definitely, I don't know what your experience has been, more than 75% of my Facebook leads come between 10 p.m. and 3 a.m. And I wake up in the morning, I pick up my phone and be like, oh, I have 2 new leads. So I take my phone down, I make the coffee, and I sit there in my pajamas behind my computer. I'm like, hi, Mary Smith, how are you today? Please tell me what office is closest to you and what body part is bothering you. And then that goes back to her right through the portal, and then I just wait for her to then respond, you know? And then that's how fast it is. People, they're up because they're in pain, probably. You know, they're probably not up at 6 a.m. then because they fell asleep at 3. but you want to just get back to them as quickly as possible. Don't make them wait.
Yeah.
So, and again, so I said this isn't a Monday through Friday 9 to 5 job. It's, you know, whoever's going to be managing this. But I love it. I think like this stuff gets me excited. So I think it's fun. Like it doesn't bother me to do this on 6 a.m. or, you know, Friday night. Friday nights too. I don't know. It's Friday nights at like 9 o'clock. It's like, well, obviously I don't have anything better to do because I'm seeing the Facebook. so they don't have anything better to do either. So,
I'm the one placing those ads, so thank you.
yeah. All right. So you want to designate a key person to handle all the incoming leads and schedule screenings. It's not something that you want to like have multiple people doing because, you know, Mary might think Jane's going to handle it and Jane might think Helen's going to handle it or wherever. Like I think I wanted to do it myself because I wanted to completely understand how it all worked and really make the decision if I thought it was effective. And, but then I found I really liked doing it and I was really good at it. So it's kind of, and I feel it's part of my role as the CEO. I'm responsible to generate new revenue streams. So this is part of my research for it. And if it comes in and it's like any kind of anything other than an ultrasound screening, I'll have the other PTs do it. But I just like this. So eventually I'll give it up, but I like it right now. So, okay. So the very first step, like I said, so I'm sleeping at night and then in comes out. So here, like you can, I don't know if you can even see this. So this is 9:05 p.m., 12:21 a.m. A couple came through and then the next one that was noon. You know, it's just crazy time. So I'll get both a text message on my phone and I also get an email. Same thing. So I kind of have created this whole system of how I can, yes.
Now, with the ads, you can set parameters to those hours, can't you?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
You could put them during business hours.
Well, but here's the deal. The ads don't go out at those hours. That's when the people are responding to them.
Yeah, but
You
you can
can't-
limit the ads going out to certain.
Yeah, but why would you
I'm just saying-
absolutely, but it doesn't.
I'm just saying, if they're not, if people aren't like you, and I don't want to.
You could probably wait till your workday
I
But
have
you know
a
what,
client who relies almost solely on Facebook ads for his patients in general. And so he's found that if he's going to respond, he has to do so like within a 15 to 20 minute window.
Oh, really?
And
That's
so
quite
he's used virtual assistants that are from the Philippines, honestly, who are actually up at those hours,
Okay.
and they've been trained how to respond and actually get them scheduled for content.
Okay.
So I'm just saying,
Right.
he's also, if he doesn't have a VA trained to do that, then he'll limit his posted Facebook ads to certain business hours so he can get to those.
But once it's out there, you can't like withdraw it. It could be something that got posted. Like I might have something that got posted 3 days ago that someone is now just responding to. You know, so what, and it feeds, like it's gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna share that with him and her, and like that's what happens. You'll see it on the actual ad. Like people will start linking other people to it. Oh, because my brother Joe has a back problem. Boom, it's gone to him now. So once that's what you want, it's like fingers going out, right? And like, so what ends up happening, an automated message goes back to the patient as soon as they hit that link button. Like, you know, like this is Janine McCollum from Northern Physical Therapy. You know, I really want to talk to you about the pain you're experiencing. What is a good time? When are you most available to chat? And then from that, what the key piece of information I then get is, and I'll show you here, is I'll find out if it's a cell phone or a landline, because you got to figure out that communication. So this is just in general, like this is from a couple of weeks ago. So this is kind of the dashboard that you look at. So this shows like, I started October 15th and I've had 199 leads come in from, at that time. So, and you can see, so I've closed 44 of them, ended up becoming patients. So from that, I had 47 open that I still had to do stuff with. My number is so high because in the interim, we were trying to get credentialed with Fidelis. So I did tons of screenings for Fidelis patients, but I put them in a bucket called not eligible that I could then go back to them and say, oh, hey, we got our credentialing. So, which is what's happened now. So, and then the lost are people that either didn't either follow through or whatever happens. So
What's the name of the software you're using to manage this?
this is all through that NPR system that managed patient referrals up at the top there, up in the, that's their logo up on the left. So this is their dashboard that if you see.
So what was your ad spend?
So my ad spend, I spend $500 a month. And you can set your own ad spend, you know, like, I mean,
So
I live in a
what
small area, so.
measure of time?
This is since October 15th. What you see there, so once a month, I put in my revenue. And I only do it monthly because I don't want to do it anymore. So that's my own choice. So, so this is
Maybe
actually, yeah.
One quick second, I want to make sure that people understand that what you are describing right now is this system through this company where HUD anyway
Mhm.
rotates
Mhm.
several of the HUD partners every month. So, and many of you know that already. So 4 to 5 HUD partners every month. We pay the fees associated with that so that you guys can have, referrals from outside, and then we do more partners next month, different partners the following month, and then it will come a time where we're gonna do it again. Then you have the opportunity if you want to do individual, individual promotion through them directly at the HUD promotional rate,
Mhm.
right? So, I mean, from these patients, your number was 57. You end up seeing
Right.
actually
57 new patients. Right,
that
as of,
you
yeah.
booked.
Yeah, and I was impressed. So Dimi's asked me my numbers and I went through, he's like, you're right. I said, what do you mean I'm right? He said, that's right on the money. I have all your stats. I know that. I was like, pretty good. So yeah, go ahead, Bill.
How well trained is your staff in converting these guys we call up? Your reception staff.
Well, I make all the phone calls and I'll get into that because a lot of them, most of them are actually through text message, believe it or not, because I'm in charge of my own scheduling, right? So, so they have, the front desk staff has other follow-up that I have them do afterwards, after they're screened or whatever. So, but I'll get more into that. So anyways, to get back to your question. So this is, I've only put in 2 months here because I just started October 15th. So I put in for December and January what I had already.
This is $1,000.
I've made $11,000.
No,
Oh, well, yes, as when I did this, I had done 3 months, so I'd spent $1,500. Yeah, and I figure like, so my average patient for me is just like, each patient is worth probably just under $1,000. So that's kind of how I view my return, but I am very carefully tracking how much did I spend, because I had to pay a little bit upfront for the designs and all that, like your
right.
to initiate the program. But again, you set your own budget. So, so I'm constantly tracking how much am I spending versus how much am I bringing in. And it's the first marketing effort I've ever done that I can see in black and white. Yes, it's worth it, or no, it's not. Like before, it's kind of a guessing game. I always like it when the patients bring the postcard in. That's nice, but that doesn't happen very often. So, so anyway, so this is your general dashboard that you're on, and the numbers just as you convert people, as you'll see next. So this is really like the working platform. This is all in the opportunities here. So these are all the new leads on the left, and you can set your own categories. These are how I set mine up. So you have your new leads. These are all people that I've got to get in touch with. And then the next one are the people that I've already converted over into free screenings. And then the next column is the people I've done the free screenings on, and now they're coming in for an evaluation with one of the PTs. And then the next one are people that didn't show up, whether it was for a screening or an eval. And then the next people are people that have showed up. We might be waiting for insurance authorizations, that kind of thing. And I think I put the rest of my, yeah. So then the next one is, okay, they showed up. Then once they're evaluated and we've seen them 4 times, I'll flip them to the new plan of care. I figure, okay, now they're a patient, right? So they're committed, right? And then the not eligibles were all my Fidelis patients that, that we didn't take that at the time. And then some were no plan of care. No plan of care means for whatever reason, they said, thanks, but no thanks. I'm gonna try something different, or I really don't wanna, you know, pay my $40 copay or whatever. But you'll see all these little eyes on here are notes. So I can go in and put notes. So all I have to do is hover over that little eye and the note will pop up. And I'm very good about documenting the rationale for everything, you know? So the reason that little Neil Humphreys, maybe it's Will floating around there. So the reason, because what happens is I'm taking him for no plan of care and I'm gonna move him over into my loss bucket.
Wait, is he an electrician?
Yes, he is.
I know Will Humphreys, but he's an electrician.
So I'm gonna put him over into, like, after a certain amount of time, again, it's your own system, but I have a system after 2 weeks, boom, I put them in the loss bucket, you know? When I start getting payments on them, consistent payments, I move them into my one bucket, you know, like pay on new leads. If I can't get in touch with them and I've tried 3-4 times, I always send them, this is my final text to you, or I'll tell them, this is my final attempt. I'm gonna take you off the list so I can open it up to someone else. If you ever need us, you know, please feel free to contact us. Best of luck. Again, it's all about being friendly, you know, you're trying to get a friend, and then I'll move them to the abandoned bucket. So, because I just want to keep I like to keep the things organized and neat and stuff. So, okay. So the key, like I talked about before, is finding a communication line. That initial communication is going to go back out to them immediately. So it's automatically generated. And I love it when I get up in the morning and there's already a text message on there, because then I know, great, they text. It's so much more efficient, right, than having to pick up the phone. And I would say probably like 80% text. So, and then it's just, you're just back and forth, you know, and it's just, okay, here you, and you're trying to, again, I'm always about what office is closest to you, what body part's bothering you. If it's not a shoulder that I have to ultrasound, I'm gonna set them up with another PT for 30-minute screen. If it's a shoulder, an ultrasound, I'll go do it. If it comes up with that little red underneath unsuccessful, then I know, then it's a landline. So now I gotta call them. And you can see like that, this under here, quality's not that great, but this is a telephone, they try to call me. So, and it's, they will try to call you, and if I don't know your number, I'm not answering. I get too many telemarketers, right? So, but people leave messages and I'll call, I don't care if they call my cell phone, I'll call them back. But that's how I know. So, and again, it's always about them. If they text, you text, because that's obviously their preferred means of communication, right? If they can't or don't return a text, you have to pick up the phone. And all communications are always about, what do you need? What do you want? You know, what's good for you? And you want to focus on the benefits, the positive, not their negative condition. They're already in enough pain. It's like, and we're supposed to be the help, the hope, right? So it's like, well, what body part is it? What office is it supposed to do? What days and times work for you? You know? And then even if they don't sign up for a screening, it's a great way to gain a fan. That's what I'm always telling people. You know, best of luck. Let me know if you ever need my help. At the very least, you now have their email to add to your contact list, because they signed up with their email. So now, boom, now they're going to start getting your email blast that you put out there, right? So, and again, it takes 5 contacts to get a response from somebody. So maybe not now, but maybe down the road, you know, they'll come back. So step 4, you want to schedule them and document. So you schedule the screening in your EMR. The front desk confirm these appointments just like they do a patient. You know, I put their name, their phone number, and they schedule it. They call, they're coming in, right? Don't forget your screening, da, da, da. Then you move them in the CMR to the next step, to schedule the free consult. You make a note in there with the time, the day, time, and office where they're scheduled, because you want to be able to quickly check the status. You don't want to have to go into everybody's file all the time. So just quickly checking. And then that's where I talk about the notes. So I can put those notes in there, hover over it, and it'll pop up for me. I know who's coming when. Then I can also check, oh, they had their evaluation. I can go into the office. Oh, yep, they showed up. Good, good. You know, and the front desk staff, like I was telling you, Bill, earlier about your questions, the front desk staff know, like I get all the screening forms when they come back, because when they come in for a screening, now I've got their address. So guess what list they go on now? You know, like it's all about the contacts, right? So you're just constantly expanding that list for your outflow, right? So, and again, you may not have won them over now, but like, especially those Fidelis patients. I had a guy, like, I couldn't help him because I didn't take Fidelis. I guarantee you, he left there and he told 5 people how great we were because he was so impressed with what we gave to him in a 30-minute consult that he couldn't get with going to his regular doctor. I mean, just someone to sit and listen to him and give him practical advice of how to handle things before he can come back in for the care. So, so he's actually on the books for next week as a patient. So that's good. So screen and convert. You want to have a screening form as a tool. So it'll provide you with the information you need to add the patient into your EMR system so that they can, once they're converted to an inpatient, you don't want to have the front desk ask them all the same questions that they just filled out. Like they just take that form. Oh, here, I'll add you. So you do the screening, you give them specific information about how we can help them resolve their condition, return them to their normal function, because that's the button. And then you want to give them useful tips to do at home, show them that you genuinely want to help them. Like, and most people are so amazed, like, you're doing this for free? Like they just are blown away that you'll be that willing to help them. So then you want to also determine during the screening, if their insurance requires a script or authorization, because some still do, right? Even if it's direct access, you know what, you have United Healthcare Community Plan, we're going to need an auth. So who's your doctor? And then the front desk staff will then take over. Let me call them. Let me work on that for you. And sometimes they'll say, oh, he wants to see you, but you know what? He's going to get you in next week now. So you're kind of helping them on the path of getting their problem taken care of. So, and even if they don't convert to a new patient now, they now know about you, which they didn't before, right? And now you've gained a fan, and they're going to leave and they're going to tell all their friends and family what you did for them. So, and again, here you have your address and their emails, so you can just put it on your list and go on your way. So then we get to tracking. So you're always updating your revenue. Like I said, I do mine on a 1 month base or every month, but you could do it every week or whatever, but I don't. So again, because you're just trying to make sure the marketing efforts not only covering the expense, but generating a positive cash flow situation for you. And again, I ask, can you do that with 100% certainty on anything else that you do? Like, I can't, but if you can, share that with all the rest of us. Okay, and then enjoy your success. That's that in a nutshell. All right, any questions? That was kind of fast and furious, but yeah, if there's anything I can do to, if you think of any questions, then by golly, just ask. Yes, go ahead.
Is anyone else using Facebook ads right now to generate a lot of new patients?
You mean this one here?
I know Christina, it doesn't have to be this one, but
We use this one.
you're using NPR?
Yeah, nice, yeah.
Cool. And you guys are always, is anyone using something different? Because I know there aren't a lot, but there are other Facebook ad companies out there for PTs.
We also use it on promotions.
Breakthrough, Practice Promotions.
Yeah.
Gotcha. And then I know there's a guy on Facebook named Joey Albert. I think he's actually in PT school or just graduating from PT school soon, but he has a company like this, Joey Alberton. ALLBRITTON or something like that. So, all right. And then I guess the other question is there anyone that has used Facebook ads, hasn't been quite as successful, and want to share some of that to compare how some of the successful ads are going?
Yeah, I'll do some of that.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've been using breakthrough marketing for about the last 6 months. It is very successful. It's just very costly.
Yeah, this is
And so,
this is a nice alternative for you.
yeah. So, and generally speaking, like, I don't think what you've demonstrated is beyond any of us to do. We just need to follow what you've done.
Mhm.
The software is being able to bucket that, being able to reach out to those people. And I don't know if I'm running at 6 o'clock in the morning, so I might not be able to be the Facebook person, but someone can, right?
Yes.
Someone can.
And again, that's, people will wait till 8.
They will.
They will, they're not, yes, right.
Yeah, yeah, it's great. So, but that's been our thing. We got into it with Chad Madden's group. They're phenomenal, by the way. It was just one of those things that for us during COVID, we didn't know how to do this.
Mhm.
As we started to look out on the web, and we couldn't see anything that was PT specific enough for people that just don't do social.
Right.
I don't do Facebook. I don't do Instagram. You might find a few search me out there, you'll find maybe a post from 1970 something, you know, whatever, from that my wife did for me. So knowing that that is my background, we jumped all in on this. It is successful. We find that when we spend $400 or $500 on Facebook advertising, we'll get a workshop. That workshop will turn into 40 to 45 interested leads. Those turn into about 25 people that then come, and we get about 50% of those people as patients, right? So honestly, the diagnostics piece and how well the presenter does with diagnostics ups that percentage by probably another 20 to 25%. That's killer.
You know, and what's interesting to kind of piggyback on that, the ads that always do the best for us are the ads with the ultrasound. And like for us here, we have that advantage because it could be other PT practices could do Facebook ads, but the fact that we have this extra service. Now, I actually had to, so with the program that I use, you set your geographical area. So I started at 60 miles because my clinics are an hour away, right? I had to cut it down because I had people who were responding from New York City. Like, well, where are you? I'm like, I'm in Dutchess County. Wait.
For some reason, your video went into.
Oh, okay. I'm like, all right, because it was such a good video. But anyways, it's not unusual that I had people from 90 miles away, and I'm like, well, you know, because you know they're not going to convert to patients. Who's going to drive 90 miles 3 times a week, right?
Sometimes it's because when I went on vacation, your ad popped up on my Facebook. So if someone drives.
Yeah. But you were pretty close though.
I know, but I'm saying it was so fun because I went on vacation by her and I saw the ad. I was like, oh my God, that's so exciting.
So message me. I'm like, oh, good. So I ended up cutting mine down to 30 minutes because I'm trying to get leads. I want people. I don't want likes. I want leads, right? So I want to target it to people that will end up coming. And I will say too, like I know with Breakthrough, I think it's a long-term commitment for that. Like this is just month to month. Like that's
okay. So what was the cost of getting into and getting this set up with NPR?
Well, I'm happy to share my cost with you, and but again, you set your own ad spend. So right. I set mine at 500, but I mean, I'm sure Haas is much more than that. You have a lot more people to market to, but I mean, I'm in a little area.
So outside of your ad spend to get in.
That's my ad spend, but I also pay a monthly like administrative fee for all of this. And I have to say, like, it's all the design work and the communication back and forth with them. They will actually, when you start this, they will listen to your phone calls that you make with people. They want you doing it right through your computer on a headset so they can kind of help you. You know, like, well, maybe next time try this or do this or whatever. Or they'll look at your text. Like, they'll be working with you or whoever's doing it, right, to get the most effective measure. So I spent like $3,000 up front for the whole setup, and then it's $500 a month ad spend, and it's $1,250 for my admin. You know, but again, I've more than in just the short time I've done it, I've more than covered my expenses.
They will, like, the best thing about them is if it isn't working, like they're very performance based.
Yes.
So that if it isn't working, and always, like I can just text. His name is Edric. I can text him anytime. I'm like, Edric, why not? If I don't get a lead every day, I'm like, Edric, what's going on? And we've had it come down to, he did an assessment with me yesterday. It's costing us, I think we're averaging $15 for every lead. And I don't have, like, I took a lot of notes because I actually just wanted to pick Janine's brain also about what she's saying, because I have a dedicated person. I think you need a dedicated person to take the calls. And my person isn't a physical therapist. She could even be a little more empathetic and, you know, in her communication style, but she's not afraid to keep calling, which I think is sometimes even a little more important. Like, you can't be afraid to pick up the telephone. So she's closing, and we actually, during COVID, we did free stuff. And we had, I mean, Demi knows, right? We had like 80, in 1 month I had like 80 people come in and 100 the next month. But eventually we didn't want to do the free stuff. So we decided that we only, we always go straight to eval. So she handles the person by text, and then she gets all their information, she finds out what their insurance is. We've even gotten, my therapists are like kind of picky. They want the eval, they want them to have the insurance, they want the person verified. So,
We're not messing around here.
I don't know, they're just like, no, we need all this. They don't want to waste their time on a patient that's free for an hour, you know, so. But anyways,
Good for them.
she's closing, but and she's closing 30%. So out, like for every 35 leads, which we get about 35 a week, we're getting 11, 12, couple of weeks she hit 50%, but she's averaging about 30%. We're spending, because we have 3 offices, we spend, you know, and we can change it all the time. Like we started out with $33 a day. And then like when my numbers drop, like if all of a sudden they drop, I'm like, okay, spend 50. And that was like, Edric, the one thing he said to me, he goes, well, if you know that this is what it costs, how many leads do you want? He goes, you want more leads, spend $100. And that's been like, I was like, oh, that makes so much sense. And then we've been testing, like right now, we tried some ads without the ultrasound because he was like trying up, like he just comes up with crazy ideas. But right now, believe it or not, we're running your ad, like we're testing.
It's a great video.
We run hospices, Janine's, and Karen. So I have the 3 ads for knee and shoulder, and we just check which one works better. Yeah. Depends on the body part.
Well, you know, and the thing is too, they can track and tell you at any time. Like they have their own set parameters. Because there's a thing called ad fatigue, right? So they don't want ad fatigue. And so if they notice that you're like my ads run, like my leads cost me an average of $9 per lead. Like, so that's good. Like that's really good rate. But but you'll have some ads that might jump up to like 35. Boom, that ad's done. Like they constantly are tracking it. So the ones that stay low, we run those low, you know, and it's always those ultrasound. Yes. So.
That clarification, your conversion rate for free stuff is at 20%?
No. My free stuff, my free from the lead to a screening is about 80%.
Okay.
And then, my is really good. So, but then from a screening to a patient, it'll drop down to like, it was like 60%. And then to conversion. So I think I had like 57, 58 new patients out of those, it was 199 at the time.
And then you're running about 30% just on straight conversions, right?
What?
You're running 30% on straight conversions, right?
Right. I'm sure if I was willing to take the calls, I'd probably get a few more, but I kind of don't enjoy it as much as Janine does.
I understand.
But I've had
I
like,
would say that for the marketplace that you have and we have, it's like our average is very much the same. And we've been tracking it month per month kind of
Right.
with you.
and they'll just pull
very-
me in.
Around the 30%, we're very much.
Yeah.
Okay, so just so I can understand, put it in context, relative to the NPR, right, is what it's called. So you are generating leads based upon an ad that's promoting an appointment?
I'm promoting free screenings and in some cases free ultrasounds.
Okay.
You know, it's a 30-minute free consult.
Because I know with PPTM, there's a whole indoctrination process that takes place because we're promoting workshops. So is there, once you get like a response from that lead, is that where it drops off as far as content that's being sent to that lead? Is there anything further content-wise from NPR that's going to that lead? Or is that now driven by you?
Yeah, you're not going to a funnel.
No,
You're not going to go
Yeah.
into a funnel and
Right.
try to
Okay,
generate.
gotcha.
You don't have to
It's
do,
going right to Janine.
Right.
And Janine's calling it.
Right.
I mean,
it
it's
doesn't have
a
to
hot
be
free.
free. Like ours is, we're promoting, we don't even say that they get an ultrasound because we don't always want to have to do an ultrasound, especially, you know, if they don't need it. So we're promoting a solution to their pain. And they're coming in and maybe or maybe not, but the picture, you know, it insinuates we're gonna do an ultrasound.
Mhm.
But then there's the education.
I mean, we've been doing the same thing for a while now, and yes, we've done a lot of things from the same system, right? My only concern is the quality of patients, I don't know if you have done an analysis on those specific cases, how much money you make per case on these cases. Personally, from our own analysis, they're not the same kind of clients. They're different clients. They're the clients that they're always looking for a solution. So they come to you, and after 4 treatments, they leave. So we have this kind of phenomena. You know, we still try to investigate that part, the quality of patients. Same thing, right? And same thing with practice with breakthrough. They're the same clients.
I don't mean to be.
They are crazy.
It's very abnormal group of people.
Or maybe they're the people that aren't necessarily ready to take responsibility. They want somebody else to fix the problem, right? But they don't want to actually be an active part of the process of fixing the problem.
So there is that one thing, and I'm gonna add something more. What we have done lately with practice promotions, it is Google Ads, right? So we give money to practice promotions, and they have done a specific way of advertising our business with a niche on workers' compensation. So we have a landing page. So they're pushing that landing page. It takes a month or 2 or 3 before you really get pushed out by Google. I mean, we're still on the second, we're entering the second month. We have an improvement of clients or leads from Google. That's 1 second. Whatever they post, you know, they do a posting every month. They have like this kind of, how do you call that? There's like a blog. I don't know exactly what they do, but they post a blog every week, actually, weekly posting. We usually have like 90, 60 impressions on that, 110. I just checked right now, 450. So there is more traffic in our website through those Google Ads.
And I will say too, like NPR is just now I'm just going to start Google Ads like through NPR. Same thing, same idea.
Right.
So, you know.
And we're targeting the workers' compensation.
And it'll come into this platform, the dashboard. It'll show up on the dashboard what comes through there. So, but it's nice to see the Google reviews as they start adding up too. Yeah.
So just a clarification, like out of 200 leads, you were saying you're getting 80% of those to come in?
For screening, for free screening.
They're actually showing up?
Yeah.
That's good. And now out of that, you're with about 50 patients.
So, right, so that actually converts to patients like with full plans of care, right?
Cool.
So.
Still 25%.
Yeah. Well, yeah, so if it's just on, I mean, just rough math, if it's under, you know, I'm like not heavy nines for my, what I consider each patient value to be. So you're talking almost $56,000 for not that much expenditure for sure.
How many times do you attempt to make contact? Like, do you do it every day?
Yeah.
You do.
Yeah. So at least once
And
a
then
day.
you wait, you
And
try
actually,
for 2 weeks.
there's an automatic thing, like if I don't get to it, then they have an automatic built-in one, like after maybe a day and a half or 2 days. Hey, you know, like it's just automatically gonna post on there. And then I'll be like, oh yeah, I forgot to follow them, but there it is, you know? So.
I want to say one thing about NPR. We've only been working with them for a month, and we have seen a huge increase in phone calls coming into the office or even responding on Facebook. Not just going through, we have our office manager, Melanie. She does the calls, like where they come in, she takes all that, but they'll call the office directly instead of waiting for Melanie to respond. I'll take care of that, or I'll reply back to them on Facebook. And NPR had noticed something wasn't working quite well enough for us to hit the numbers they want us to have. And they've already sitting down talking to Ting about changing the ads so they work better for our area, you know. So we're happy with them so far. I mean, and
you know, it was interesting, when we first started, I had 7 new patients the first week that didn't even go through the portal. They were just people that I knew that were already fitness members in the office, and they all signed up for appointments. Hey, we saw this ad. I was like, great. So I always have to keep that in mind because those aren't even included in that. But I will say the other thing that it does is it makes for an our Facebook page is so active with people back and forth, and it's great. You know, like again, it's not about the likes, but it's nice when people communicate with each other. And I mean, just on my way down here, I got the nicest like Facebook message from this guy. I just wanted you to know happy that I chose to come to your office. I had my evaluation today. The therapist was knowledgeable and passionate about what she does. I've been to other places and I will never go anywhere else. And I thought, well, isn't that nice? You know, but it's just made Facebook so interactive and it's a great way just to be in touch, you know? I always like hearing the good stuff, because I usually can hear the bad. Yes.
Just a quick thing, Dad, we're in our El Paso office, which is large metro area. We're doing a beta test with Breakthrough to where it's like a constant greatest promotion ever, and they are making all the calls instead of our front office. And that's really changed, you know, because that was a struggle, especially with COVID. It was hard for us to even keep our front office people. So that was a problem when we were already committed to something. And so we're having about 6 to 10 consults a week in an office that doesn't really have that many patients, but at the same time, what you were saying, Costas, the type of patients. So we have a little signal on the type of those patients that are really just surfing basically, and they're not looking at cause, they're looking at symptoms. Then we sell them a laser package, massage therapy, or our acoustic ultrasound, and they're very happy, okay, to do that kind of thing and then be related. So you can start to classify the patients that are kind of in that, because they're going to go to the chiropractor, they're going to go somewhere, right? And then hopefully we can educate them and help them understand this is not a long-term solution, but still convert something for your business.
I just want to make 2 statements here. First is the statement about our organization, our physical therapy and diagnostic business. Right now, we are doing a ton of things, and we've been doing them, you know, most of them through COVID. We are doing, as Costa said, practice promotions. We are doing Breakthrough, Chad Madden. We are doing the NPR stuff. We are doing our own marketing person, social media person, putting ads and doing work. So we're doing all this stuff, and we are monitoring and KPIing things to see where we are at with each of them, and we're doing ROIs. So that's the first statement I want to make in terms of what we do, because people, I know that you guys will be asking us. The second thing is, I want to say that, you know, HADS really is not fully endorsing a solution, one of these people as the solution, okay?
Right.
They are valued partners because they do offer value. All of these organizations do offer value, and there is a benefit to a greater or lesser degree when you associate with them. And in some cases, these things are cyclical too. You may get, you know, a tremendous response at one period of time, then it goes down a little bit, then later on you tweak something, things go up again, all right? So what I want to say about these organizations is that, you know, first of all, with Edric, with NPR, because, you know, we saw some effectiveness at a lesser cost compared to Breakthrough at a type of budget that HADS could afford to pay on your behalf, guys. So we said, okay, we can put so much money per month on the side to help our franchisees with one of these outside services, while we are developing more and more the in-house resources to help you in that regard. And then, of course, we made a deal with Edric that you get a discount, a high discount compared to if you go to do independent advertising with him, that you would get a discount compared to what he charges others. And the deal we made with Breakthrough was that, on the one hand, they did put some investment from their side to develop the new funnel, and that new funnel is available to the the breakthrough and HUD's members without additional charge for, we don't charge you anything additional. So this is what we have done in that regard with these outside vendors. But I won't say that we're saying, oh, your solution will be that. No, we can't really say that.
You know, and it's part, and back at the beginning when I said, you know, take calculated risks, because what works for me might not work for you. Like, I mean, I tried to do the workshop route and it just didn't work for our area that we're in. People just weren't receptive to it. So, you know, so again, I just had to switch to something else. But I say, try it off, you know, and you'll find what fits for you and what works, and it works. Now, Christina, do you, and you're like, so you're trying to go right to an initial eval. So is that what you're marketing in your ads?
We don't say what they.
We don't say what it is.
You
Okay,
bring
you don't
it
say
in
it's a
and then you.
mystery. Yeah.
Well, I could look it up and see what it says, but I think it just says something like, answers guaranteed.
Okay.
I mean, we've gone full gamut, because
Yeah.
at the beginning,
I like the
I was
idea,
doing
though.
everything free, and now it's like,
Yeah.
if we literally have gone from free to, if they
Complimentary.
don't have insurance, we make them pay to reserve a spot, because we found that people that don't have insurance,
Don't show up.
they don't show up, and now I got an hour, and I got a therapist that was like ready to treat a patient.
But
and
this
help
is
them.
so true. We have the same problem.
So we just
And
charge
right
them.
now, the 3%, it's free, they're not coming in. You tell them if you don't come in, there's $75 charge, they come in.
It's true.
But anyway, yes, free consultation, but we have attached that cancellation fee. What about, there is an idea here again. It's mine. This is not something that we have talked to Greg or nothing, but it's just a cost that if all of us would like a small amount of money in that specific design ad for all of us, for diagnostics, sorry, forget about PT, right? Diagnostics, echocardiography, ultrasound, right? And spin the Facebook ad, all of us, with specific zip codes per location. Do you think it's going to work? Do you understand my point? Or?
Yeah.
I mean, it's an idea that a small amount, all of us, one not just for diagnostics.
Yeah, to see how it works, to try it.
Yeah. Because if you can control the zip code, right, then whoever calls for an appointment, they will go by the zip code. Yes.
But it would probably be better once the branding is done on national level. Once you establish the brand. Right, but when you establish the brand, it would bring more value to the individual, because then it's hands-on approved center, whatever. So that would be a secondary part, that would be my vote on it.
But we already approved. There is already approved diagnostic centers. All of you are approved diagnostic centers. All of you do diagnostics. Nothing is there already. You don't have to be perfect to go out and say, no, I'm perfect. Come to me. We do the job anyway. It's an idea. That's
You know, and just keep in mind, again, it's letting people know you do that service, you know, because people just don't know what they don't know, you know, until you tell them.